Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, where we explore the journeys of exceptional individuals who have achieved remarkable success in their fields. Whether you're an aspiring athlete, a business leader, or simply someone striving to reach your full potential, this podcast is your guide to unlocking the greatness within you. Join us as we dive into inspiring stories, practical strategies, and the mindset shifts that can transform your path to greatness. Let's embark on this journey together. All right, here we are with another episode of Pathways to Greatness, and I'm your host, Jeff Forrester. Today's episode is with Nick Mornard, and this one was one, and you'll hear when I talk about it in the episode, it was a cold email that someone sent me, a booker, I guess, for him to get him on shows, and I started to read. Honestly, I ignore a lot of those, but there was something that made me click on this one, and I started reading about his past and what his adventures were, and I had to talk to him. So he has a book that's coming out, or actually it's out now. It was out October 1st. Mindset is My Degree. And when we talk, you'll hear a lot about how he earned that degree. And he talks about the importance of freedom and what that plays into setting goals and what your big vision is for your life. Talks about, what is it going to take you to do to really taste the goal, to feel the goal, to visualize that goal, set a vision board, a dream board. He had a dream board to come to the United States when he was 11 years old. And then once he became 18, it took him 15 years of constant work to finally come to the United States of America. And when he got here, he spoke no English. I'm not going to tell any more about it, but it's a great episode. It will motivate you. It will inspire you. It will challenge you to have the growth mindset that we all know that we need to have to accomplish more in life. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Mornard. All right, here we are back to another episode of Pathways to Greatness podcast. And today's guest, it's interesting. I always share, Nick, I'm not sure if you've listened to too many episodes, but most of my guests come through social media. Oddly enough, you came through a cold email that came into my inbox. And so your booker's great because they really set you up in a very good way that teased my attention. And so after going through and looking about your story, it definitely resonates with Pathways to Greatness, not only where you've come from, but where you're headed. So thank you for joining today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no problem. So everybody, this is Nick Mornard. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Nice. I did a good job. So before we get into everything, Nick, I always like to play a fun game just to warm the brain up and warm the guest up. And it's called Would You Rather. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Would you rather freeze time or go back in time?
Freeze time.
Okay. My daughter just jumped in. All right. Would you rather live without music or TV?
Oh, without music.
Okay. What do you like to listen to?
I'm very eclectic, so I listen to pretty much everything but hardcore thing. Okay. But I was a DJ back in my youth, so I was a lot into house music. Now I like pretty much everything but rock. I like Coldplay, I like Metallica and things like that.
Okay, awesome. Well, let me go back because my daughter threw me off. So you said freeze time, right? That you would rather freeze time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why would you like to freeze time?
Because if I can freeze time, I can take a step back and take time to reflect on things before acting. Usually the problem for most people is that they tend to be very reactive. And I like to usually take some time to reflect. And if I have the ability to freeze time and to make some research and then come back and have a better, conversation, that would probably be the best for me.
Amen. I'm a processor. So I'm the one that after we have a conversation, when you walk away is when I go, oh, I wish I would have said this or asked this.
Freezing would help.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Okay. Would you rather have pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
What kind?
I like cheese. So, like 4 cheese is usually one that I love, but, and I like spicy sausages and meat. So anything with that on it, I would be all in. If weight was not a problem, I would eat pizza every day.
Yes. It's definitely calorie dense.
Oh yeah, no. Once a week maximum, but
yeah. But it's almost the perfect food because it's got everything
Oh,
on it. You can even put a salad on top of it. So
yeah, and I don't cook, so that's so easy. You put that on a oven, and then it's over.
there you go. Perfect. Okay. And then the last question, if you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Um, be careful. I never forget.
Oh, okay. Go into that one a little bit.
No, I mean, I I have a very good memory, and so when someone says something or when I hear something, I usually put it somewhere in my mind, and it will come back at certain times. So yeah, so definitely when I start a new relationship, business or personal or things like that, I tend to listen a lot because in the beginning of any kind of partnership or relationship, people tend to always say a lot. And then when you get comfortable with them, and I'm not talking personal, more business as well, when you do some partnership with deals and stuff like that, then you realize that, things were not really accurate, but that was just for the best impression to give. And I always come back with that. So I'm gonna say, hey, remember you talk about this when we first had the first conversation, and yeah, so that's something I like to reflect on.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying because I was going to ask you, would you say that do you hold grudges as well?
No, no, I don't hold grudges. I'm very forgiving person, but I don't forget. So I think it's a big difference between holding grudges and not forgetting. But no, it's life is too short to hold grudges about everything. But yeah, I don't forget. That's all.
Yeah. So there's a great book. I don't know if you've ever read it called Smart Trust. And
Mm-hmm.
so it talks about that, meaning that it's trust through evaluation. So
Yeah.
it's not that you have
Right.
blind trust, that you're just going to openly trust everybody, which a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that gets me in trouble. And then there's the completely, I don't trust anybody. So it's the
Yeah.
paranoid part. And then smart trust is trust through evaluation. I'm going to trust you, but I'm going to constantly be evaluating this relationship to make sure that if at any point you challenge that trust, doesn't mean that I'm not going to trust you, but you have to prove yourself to me. And so it's a great concept that I learned early on in my sales career.
Do you know
And
who wrote
so
that
I
book?
always try to, what's that?
Do you know who wrote that book?
Um,
Ah,
it
it's all good. You
is
can give it to me later.
Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey. Okay.
Yeah. So Stephen Covey with Greg Link. So I mean, again, I have it right here. So it's a great book, and I encourage anybody to look at it because I feel like to what you had said is that many times, many of us won't forget, but then we hold it emotionally in when it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be emotion, but you also don't have to forget because you need to forgive, you need to extend that, but you always have that opportunity of, hey, this happened once before. I hope it doesn't happen again, but I'm going to be prepared if it does.
100%. No, I agree with that. And a lot of time people hold grudges, and that's that what they don't understand is that it's acting negatively towards them. And so why have that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, everybody, this is Nick Mornard. And like I said, as I met him through a cold email, which was great, and followed him on LinkedIn and on Instagram and Facebook. And he's the author of a brand new book called Mindset is My Degree. Love it. I wrote a book back in 2020, Unleash Potential. So
Mhm.
I have fellow authors. I have the utmost respect of going through the process. And I know how it feels when you hold that very first physical copy. It's pretty cool. No one can ever take away that you're a published author,
Nope.
ever.
Absolutely not.
He's also the podcast host of Two for the Win. What I thought was great, one is you're a fellow Floridian. I'm up in Orlando and you're down in Southwest Florida. Um, when I was reading through your bio and some of the information is that you moved to the States in 2013 and you spoke no English.
Nope.
You played professional basketball.
Yes, I played professionally from 96 to 2000.
Okay. But what was fascinating was the idea of you moving to the States with knowing no English. So we're going to get into that a second. But I want to
Mhm.
give you a little background of Pathways to Greatness. So I created the podcast back in 2023. So you're going to be episode number 98. I've had 111 episodes, but you're guest number 98.
Awesome.
And the reason why I wanted to do it and that I named it Pathways to Greatness is that I wanted to have people on like yourself to show people that everybody has a different definition of greatness, but more importantly, everybody has a different pathway on that journey to greatness, and nobody has a linear point A to point B pathway. Nobody has a straight one. There's ups and downs, twists and turns, and there's challenges. And ultimately, I just don't want people to quit. When I saw the title of your book, Mindset is My Degree, it's all mindset of not quitting, because we're programmed to quit quickly and seek comfort. So with all that being said, what would you say is your definition of greatness?
Well, your definition is pretty spot on, to be honest. So everybody have their own definition of greatness, and it's fine. There's no one way to define it. For me, greatness, it's really like every single day or every week, every month, every year, can you do something that improve yourself as a person? And if you own a business, what can you do to improve that little 1% will change everything in your personal life, in your business entrepreneurship, like journey. So how can you get a little bit better every day? So that's what I call greatness. It's not looking for perfection, it's looking for improvement. And if you can continuously improve, for me, that's greatness.
Sure. And such a great definition. And I'm a huge fan of just 1% better every day. Just small incremental steps creates massive momentum. So, Nick, before we get into some more of the specific questions, why don't you give the audience and me a little bit more of your background of what brought you here today and where you're at today in this world?
Oh, absolutely. So at 9 years old is the first time that I discovered United States. So my parents brought me here at 9, vacation, Florida, like Disney World, Tampa, and things like that. And I fell in love with the country, like literally fell in love. I remember I came back home, I asked my dad to buy me an American flag. I had the American flag in my room. And at 11 years old, I had my first dream board. And the first thing who came on my dream board was one day I will be a US citizen. And I was 11 years old. And this never stopped in my mind. I'm like, I will be living my American dream, whatever that means, but one day. So fast forward, I've been through a lot in my life, like everybody, pretty much. But luck brought me here, meaning I applied, I don't know how many times, I think 8 or 10 times to the American embassy in Brussels. And every single time I was rejected because you need to be coming as a sponsor from your work, but I was a self-employed, so I never could get that. Or at the time, I needed to have $10 million to bring with me in the United States and put it on an account for 10 years. So that's just those were the two options. I didn't have any of those two things. So one day the lady at the embassy told me, you have more chance to win the green card at the lottery. And I'm like, I thought it was a scam, the lottery thing. And she said, no, there is one official website that in the world everybody can use, and you can only apply or play this for 7 years. So I'm like, okay. I went home, I filled out the application, and I submitted for the lottery. After year 7, I won. So year 7, I won the green card. It doesn't mean you get the green card in the mail, but you get the opportunity to have a lawyer and put all the steps together to be able to come to the US, which I did. On June 22nd, 2013, I received a sealed envelope in my mail, and my lawyer told me, when you receive that, you have 6 months to move to the United States, otherwise you lose it. So I received on June 22nd, it was a Friday. On June 25th, on Monday, I went to the airport with 6 luggages, and I'm like, okay, what is the next stop to the United States? I have 2 options, New York or Miami. I don't like the cold. I live in the cold all my life. So I'm like, I'm going to Miami. So landing in Miami with my sealed envelope, 6 luggages, not knowing anyone and not knowing the language. But the reason why I was able to do this with tons of challenges, as you can imagine, it's the mindset. Because it was my dream forever. And if I can make it in Belgium, which is so hard with like the regulation rules, the tax system and everything like that, I can definitely make it in the US. And that stick in my mind. But I was preparing myself for a hard time. And I think there's a difference between a lot of people is that they expect everything to go smoothly. Nothing will be smooth in life. Definitely not moving from another continent, not knowing the language. But 3 years of hell, like literally, like understanding English, understanding how I bring that up all the time, but the credit score system, I never heard of that. In Europe, we don't have that. So in Europe, they trust you until you cannot pay back. Then you're on a blacklist and it's over. In US, it's different. You need to prove first before you get anything. So I struggle a lot with that. But after 3 years of struggling, I started little by little to find my way. And fast forward now 11 plus years, I'm director of a Fortune 500 global company. I own my travel agency, Nick Mornard and Associates with Dream Vacations. I have 3 associates in the business. I do public speaking. I started doing public speaking a few months ago, and it's growing. So that's something that I'm looking forward to continue to grow. The podcast you mentioned, Two for the Win, where we have 3 episodes a week. Writing the book, explaining a little bit my journey, but also the mindset process to have to prepare yourself for challenges. And the second part of the book is all about leadership. So I did all of that, and it's something that it's very dear to me, that there is nothing you are not able to do. Literally nothing. I don't have a degree. I have an high school degree. So I'm not the smartest, probably not the brightest, but I believe in myself, and I always surround myself with people that are better than me. And I think that's also something I learned a long time ago, and it's not a secret. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I take that into consideration a lot when I move forward in life. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because otherwise you never learn. And so that's a long-winded answer, but that's a little bit about my journey.
No, that's awesome. And there's so much gold in there. So I'll challenge you real quick to eliminate that you're not the brightest and you're not the smartest. And I say that because that just reminds us, and that's programming you to say that. And it's self-deprecating, which so many of us are really good at. Like, we get gold medaled at bringing ourselves down. Because I would challenge you to say that based on what you've been able to accomplish, that you are smart and you are bright because you saw opportunities and then you went in and you took them. Where so many people, including me, is you may not see the opportunity and it passes you by. And so that's where I would say that you're extremely bright, because you see that, you have an eye for opportunity, and you have the right mindset. So I want to rewind. So that was me preaching to you a little bit.
Thank you. Hey, define smart, because smart means nothing and everything. So I know tons of people who are smarter than me, like in book smart, or smart about specific things. So that's why I don't like to use the word smart too much, because what does that mean?
Exactly. You could say the odds were stacked against you. How about that?
Sure. Yeah.
What I liked, rewinding back, is at an 11-year-old, you had a dream board.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to the audience, and I know this has to be somewhere in your book. Talk to your audience, talk to my audience and your audience, if you use this, around why you feel like that a dream board is so important to anyone when they have a big dream, like moving to the US.
Well, at a young age, I don't have siblings, and I have a lot of respect for my dad, who was the breadwinner of the family, and he was engineer, very very good career, but he was working for a company, and from the young age, I didn't want that. I don't want to work for anyone. I want to work for myself. I want to build something. So from young age, I was trying to understand how the entrepreneurship like journey, and I don't know where it came from, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was working a lot, but for a company, and I don't have really like anyone in my circle when I was so young, like that were like business owner or anything. But I always wanted that, and so I started reading article or the newspaper or something like that at the time, and I read someone saying like, hey, you need to put on paper what you want to achieve. That's the only that increased by 28%, if I remember correctly, the chance of this to happen, is you actually think about what you want, but write it down and make it real. So I found out online about the dream board thing, so I decided I asked my dad to buy me one, and then I literally, that is the first thing I put on, and I had a lot of things in there. I didn't achieve everything, but I'm getting there. Or things change when you're 11 years old. You have different aspiration as you are when you as you have when you have 40, but when you're 40. But it's it's always great to set your goal so high that if you miss it, you get somewhere closer. And I always do that. I keep doing that to this day. I have my goals set on paper, and I change them. I change them constantly, but at least I have somewhere to go back to say, okay, how am I doing this year? Like, how am I doing so far? Do I need to change something, or what do I need to do in order to get where I want it to be? Like, so yeah. So I think it's very important to put that down on paper and board, whatever it is for you. But that's very important.
Well, and like you said, is I want to bring everybody's attention back to it is you may have things on that board that you never accomplish or achieve, but what you're doing is you're training your mindset. You're training your brain how to set a goal and work a plan to try to achieve it. And just like you said, is just because you don't achieve that goal doesn't mean that it was a loss. Think about the process that you went through and the benefit that you gained from just working towards that.
No, 100%. And like you said, it's not failure when you don't reach something, because you cannot achieve everything that you put your mind to. Like, it's hard, but at least it gets you closer, and you learn something. You learn something that you may be using for something else. So as long as you learn from it and you don't repeat the same mistake, it's very cliche, but I agree, it's true. And then you have a strong why, like Simon Sinek says, like start with why. And that's always what's important to me. Like, I know why I'm doing something and I'm going for it. And it's not fame, it's not the money, it's not, I don't have a family, so it's not for my kids, my children, or anything like that. But I want freedom. That's my why. I want the freedom to be doing what I want when I want it, without having to worry about anything else. And so again, that's a very the freedom for me is not the same as freedom for you neither. So, but you define what freedom is for yourself, if it's what your goal is, and then you go from there.
And I like what you said, is because freedom does have a different definition. And I've been challenged by some people of, set a financial goal of what you want to make per year, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I like the word freedom though, because it does have a different definition. Is freedom from some people would be making $1 million a year and having all these different things. And somebody else's freedom may be, I want to make $65,000 a year. I want to be able to pay my bills and not stress about so many different things in life. Because if you're striving for $1 million, there's going to be a lot of stress and a lot of work and effort. And again, I want the audience to hear what you said, is set a goal that is big and lofty. So vision of having freedom, that's going to be an always moving carrot that you don't reach, because as you layer on different things, freedom starts to close in a little bit. You're like, okay, well, I need to figure out how do I got this business started. I'm doing a lot of work. So now I need associates who are going to make passive income. So then I can go focus on something else. And you just keep building and building.
And then the goal, when you put something that it's so big, like, try to narrow down the goal by months, by week, by day, if needed, and celebrate. Like I always said, celebrate when you reach any kind of level of your goals, because it's a win. And if you don't allow yourself to celebrate along the way, when you have such a big goal, like $1 million, for example, but you drill through by 80,000 maybe a month, if it's $1 million, well, when you achieve your first 80 million, celebrate it. Like, because if you wait for the million to celebrate and you miss it, you will be negative. Your mindset will take a hit, and you feel like you cannot achieve it. Even maybe you are at $750,000, which is fantastic for 90% of the population or 95% of the population. So always make sure to take time to enjoy the process, because it's hard, and you need to have time to celebrate your success.
Oh, you're singing my song, as I talk about that celebrate. And then just like you write your goal down, write how you're going to celebrate. So if you hit the 80,000 that month, how will you celebrate?
I love that.
And hold yourself to it, and put that on your vision board of part of the process. I'm sure you've heard of Ed Milet, but he talked about how he wanted to he envisioned success as being able to go to this hotel and being able to
Mhm.
eat at this restaurant in the hotel and stay there and treat his wife. And so they would do it. He's like, I went into debt to go do that so I could see what it felt like, so I could actually have that tactile vision
Yeah,
of what it feels like to go there.
and be precise. Like don't say, for example, I don't know, like in 6 months, if I reach that level, I wanna go on a cruise in Europe. No, don't say that. I want to go on, I don't know, celebrity ascents on the in the Greek islands, visiting like Santorini, Mykonos, and that. That's more something you can almost touch and feel than, oh, I just want to buy a car at the end of the year. What car? What color? What brand? Like so. The more specific you are, or more you train your mind to actually believe that it's possible to achieve, and the more you're gonna actually put effort in it. If you feel like you're getting closer but you have a gap, I think that's also important. So who precise you are, who more chance I believe you have to actually reach it.
For sure, visualization is so important. Feel like you're there. Like, what is it going to feel like to be standing on the deck of that cruise ship when it's set sail and you know why you're on that ship?
Yep.
And it's addicting.
Oh yeah, I know. Because as soon as you reach it, you want the next one because you know you can do it. And so that's why the gamification of trying to get somewhere, it's so important than to just have a goal, because then you achieve it, yeah, you're happy for a minute, and then what are you going to do with that money? What are you going to do with that achievement? And so yeah, no, we agree.
That's awesome. The other thing that I want to rewind back to that you shared that I want the audience to think about is he had a dream starting at 11, and then he started moving towards that dream. Of course, can't do a whole lot when you're 11, 12, 13, but then when you got to reality of being able to do it, it took you 7+ years before you ever made it to the States. Then when you got to the States, it took you another 3 just to really probably get your feet underneath you. So the question I would have to the audience, and I want to come back to you, is how long will you stick to your dreams? Like, how big is your why in your dreams to stick with it? So what helped you get through those difficult 7 years of just really crossing your fingers and hoping you hit the lottery? And then a part of that is, how do other people stick to their dreams?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I would not have waited so long for any other goal I set on my dream board. But this, I knew it was my number one, and I knew it was going to take time. And it's more than 7 years. 7 years is the time of the lottery. But before that, since I'm 18 years old, I'm applying, and I can apply officially twice a year at the American Embassy in Belgium. That's the rule. They cannot deny you to apply. So I applied twice a year since I'm 18 years old. And so when I was 26 is when I start the process of the 7 years. So it was more than 7 years. But in my case, what I was doing is, you can say you could have learned English by all those years, because if you're not sure, if you're so sure. But I had in my mind, when I win, I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna learn fast. And it's exactly what happened. But all the year before, I made sure to go every single year during the interseason of basketball, or during like summertime, or I go 2 weeks in the United States on vacation, and it's refill my recharge my batteries, for my main goal. So I want to touch it a little bit. I don't have it, but I want to touch it. So whatever your goal is, I would suggest, what can you do to get closer to that? So you mentioned about the gentleman, his goal was to be able to 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 be at this hotel and eat in the restaurant, in that specific restaurant of that hotel. Well, what I would probably have done, an hotel you can go in freely. So I would probably go to an hotel close by and just walk through the door of the hotel and take a coffee at the lobby or something, So you can recharge your battery when you feel like, oh, I will never be able to do that. Do something little that gets you closer to your goal and make you recharge a battery to be motivated to work harder or better or smarter, whatever you want to do, in order to get closer to your goal. So that's what's my way to do it. It's to continuously keep in mind my dream of United States by traveling there.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And then you had the burn the boats mentality of, okay, I won the lottery, now I'm going, and you had every excuse in the book to not go or to turn around and go home. So what was the thought process of saying, okay, I'm not going to learn any English until I set foot in America?
Yeah. So that's me. I'm weird about those things. So I was very bad at school. I was never the top of the class at school. Definitely bad in languages. So that's funny because at French is my mother tongue, and in Belgium you have 50% French, 50% Dutch. Okay. The money is on the north side of Belgium. All the companies, everything is Dutch. So, but my first basketball contract was on the Dutch side, on north of the country, and I could not pass Dutch lesson at class for the life of me. But as soon as I got my first contract, I felt bad that I was the one that could not speak the language of most of my teammates, but my teammate could all speak French. Because that's a thing in Belgium. The Dutch people usually speak French, but the French people don't speak Dutch. And so I refused that. So I start to learn, but not by book, just by making mistakes and trying to have conversations. I'm not ashamed at all to make grammatical mistakes. I still make tons of them, but that's how you learn. And so after 6 months, 9 months, I was pretty much fluent in Dutch. And so I realized very young age, I was 16 years old, I'm way better learning, by doing than learning by books or at school. And so during the journey of my life, like after that, I went into sales, and I didn't learn anything at school about that, but I went from door knock sale in Belgium to be a leader of 3,200 people in 7 countries, in the largest life insurance company in Europe, by learning, by having a mentor, and by just copying what they're doing, like monkey see, monkey do. That's me. I don't invent nothing. I just take something that exists. And once I get to the level that they are, I try to tweak it to make it a little bit better. But I never invent something from the start. Like I never do it. When I start in a new company, I always want, okay, who are the top performer in that company for the role I'm doing? Oh, those two people. Okay, I will spend 30 minutes, an hour, as long as I need to, in order to understand what are their day-to-day operation, how are they handling the system. And once I understand how they do it, I just replicate. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's my mindset. Like it's like Bronson used to say, like, if you get an opportunity to get a job and you don't know how to do it, accept it and learn once you win. And that's me all my life. And so that's the process that I'm doing for everything. Language. So English, I'm like, if I try to learn English what I don't need to, I will probably be struggling because I don't have the drive, the mindset, the why is not strong enough. Once I have the why, because I'm gonna be there in like 2 weeks, I'm gonna be there, then I move. And then I refuse to hang with people who speak French. So I had friends in Belgium. Oh, here's a group in Miami of French people, French from France, from Belgium. Go to that group so they can help you. And I refuse. I'm like, if I do that group, I will speak French. So I'm not going to learn English as fast as I want to. So I refuse to go with people who speak my language. And that's the way that I could learn English so fast in the beginning, because that's all I had around me, people who speak English, who spoke English.
What's great is you're the walking definition of a growth mindset. Because again, it's the I can do it, even though, oh, look at that. See, it's for those of you who are listening, he panned his camera over to a big board that says growth mindset. So I had not seen that before. I'd only seen his poster. Um, and it's just one of those things that growth mindset, some people are born with it. I have a feeling you were born with it, that it just is the way you thought.
Mhm.
Some of us, though, including me, it's a skill that you can learn. Like you
Oh,
can
yeah.
change how you think instead of always thinking that you're the victim, thinking that you're not smart, I'm not capable, there's no way I can ever do that, because I find myself saying those things on the regular. But if you say those things will happen. So if you say I can learn English, I will learn English, but like Nick shared, he put the work in. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to learn English. And then all of a sudden, you know English. It takes time, it takes effort, energy, and just putting yourself into that 100% and not quitting until you accomplish that.
Love it. I mean, you said we are very similar. Every time you say something, I'm like nodding because it's exactly what I actually had that conversation last week with one of person that I'm leading, and she was telling me, Nick, I cannot do this because of this. I cannot do this, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. You will not be able to do it with that mindset, with the way you're thinking. There's no way you're gonna make it because you don't believe it yourself. So it's never gonna come. Like so. So you're right. Like if whatever you tell yourself, it's gonna happen. I do
Yeah.
believe that the timeline may be different for you, me, the neighbors. Everybody have their own timeline. But I do believe in law of attraction. It's another story, but you attract what you think and what you believe and what you write down. I mean, it's just 100% what I believe in.
Yeah, I think it was Zig Ziglar
Mm-hmm.
that said either you can or you can't, you will.
Exactly. Now,
It's like you're
absolutely.
right. If you say I
No.
can, then you can, and then it can't. And then it's the idea that we just shared about Nick's journey is that I saw it as 7 years, but when you do the math, it was more like 15 years
Mm-hmm.
that he was going. And if he didn't win the lottery after 7, there's no question in my mind. You would have then started looking, okay, how do I get a job that would help me get the visa to get over there? Or how do I accumulate $10 million to be able to go? Like you weren't going to stop until you got here.
Yeah, that's probably true. But I was like literally thinking at all time, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I will. And then when I won, it's funny because everybody said, okay, why are you spending your money for those things? It never work. It's blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, one way or another, I will end up there. So why not put everything in my buckets to add the chances? And then when I won, every single people around me start applying.
Mm.
So it's funny, but none of them won so far. And I believe in they just apply because they think it's going to be a quick fix to quickly get it, but they don't have they probably stop after a year or two to apply probably because they feel like it doesn't work. But put your chance in your side, and then luck, you attract luck. It's like by the work you do, by the way you handle things, at work, in your personal life. People who say they're lucky, well, they probably attracted it one way or another.
Sure. The other thing that you just shared that I want the audience, if they may have missed it, is that when you won, that encouraged other people and motivated other people to apply. So what we do has impact on other people, even though you don't think that it will. And,
Mhm.
Nick wasn't applying to win to influence his friends, but people are always watching you. And
Oh,
if you have success, you could inspire and motivate somebody. Now, it's going to be up to them to how long they stick with it, but they could say, well, if Nick can do it, I think I can do it. And just don't hide your light. Take chances, take risk because you're influencing those people that are watching in the shadows.
yeah, yeah. You influence people without knowing most of the time, and then I mean, it's like everything. Consistency is key, like in life. And for people who are listening, who are in business or entrepreneurs, when you when you try to do something, or let's take podcast. How many million podcasts are there currently? But 60% of those podcast doesn't go past the second episode. Why? Because people want immediate success. And they do one episode, two episode, three episode. I have 10 people listening, I'm done. Well, no. All the biggest podcasts you listen to, they have a breakthrough at some point. But at some point, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long you want to be focusing on it. But me and my co-host, we thought we put ourselves 2 years of 3 episodes a week, no exceptions, and something will happen. But 2 years is a long period of time, you know? So we didn't say like, and then bam, we got a very good start. Like it was like, I think 5,200 listener download the first month, which was way higher than we thought. And then now we continue to go that direction. But whatever, if we have one listener, we're still gonna do the same way with the same enthusiasm, the same passion, because people look. People may not like, may not share, but people watch you, watch what you do. Same with my travel agency. The first 6 months, I had pretty much no one from social media who ever contact me. But every day I had 2-3 posts about vacations. And then at some point, how you still do that? I'm like, yeah. And then bam, people start. And now I have daily leads on social media. So it's all about people watching. Be consistent, be patient, have a smile on your face. One day or another, things are going to come.
For sure. And I did an episode 2 episodes ago about the same topic of just really breaking down my statistics. I don't have spectacular statistics, but I didn't go into starting the podcast to get, a lot of downloads. And I referenced Joe Rogan. When he started, podcasting wasn't even a thing.
No.
Like everybody thought he was weird sitting in his room and recording this and putting this on this weird podcast platform that nobody listened to. Fast forward to 12, 13 years later, but he get like $200 million from Spotify for his library. And he's done like 2,300 episodes. And his episodes aren't 45 minutes.
3 hours.
These are like 3-4 hours, some of them. But like you said, is it takes consistency. It takes the understanding of why, like you go back to what you said earlier, why are you doing what you're doing? And for instance, like you set a timeline, 2 years, and maybe the success isn't the podcast, but through the relationships that you build by doing the podcast. So there are, for our listeners, there are opportunities that may not present itself in the platform that you think is what you want success in. It could be because you have a podcast, you're able to talk to somebody like Nick, which could open a door to another opportunity. So always keep your mind open. And it's that old wise, I don't know if it's not really a parable, but when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And you can learn from every situation. You can learn from every person. So when I have these conversations, I'm coming in as a student because I know that I can learn something from Nick. I can be inspired by his story and understand what he's doing. So when you get a cold email in your inbox, don't dismiss some of those things. Look at it. And then I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, so I pray over things and just like there's a reason you came in, and of all the ones that I've gotten, I've clicked on yours and pursued that and looked at that. And when I saw the name of your book, and we're going to get into that right now, is, mindset is my degree. I was like, okay, this guy, we definitely resonate, even if it's just the title of his book. So Nick, share with the audience why you decided to write a book, and then give us a little bit of what a reader could anticipate when they buy the book and start reading it.
Yeah, good question. So the reason 2 years ago, if someone would have told me you're going to write a book and it's going to be on every platform and a bestseller, I would have laughed. Like, me writing? The reason why I did that is every time I meet new people in Florida, in my new country, they always ask me, like, hey, tell me your story. And like, how did you end up here? Why do you want to come to the US? And I explain my story, and they always want to know more. And they said, you inspire me by listening to someone who did so much to come here when we take it for granted because we are here we're born here. And can you talk to my son? That was the first person. Can you talk to my son? He needs to hear that. Then a couple of weeks later, someone else said, hey, can you talk to me? Can you talk to my neighbor who is struggling right now? He doesn't have a job. He's struggling. He thinks that everybody are against you. He should hear where you went through to come to the US. And it started like that. And I got a bunch of examples, more and more the last few years. And I'm like, I think I can impact more people if I can put that on a paper, like put that on a book. And then I will be able to, to inspire more people, to maybe, like increase my circle of influence and things like that. And I'm like, let's do it. So I decided to start a journey. So every day, like writing a little bit, like I had also someone who helped me, Vincent, who helped me drastically with the book. And so that's the reason why I did it. Then I released the book on October 1st, and the feedback is amazing. I was not expecting that. Like people said, like, Nick, I have another idea of you now. Like I knew you were like a motivated guy, but I didn't know all of that. So I see you differently now, like I had people reaching out for mentorship. So I do mentorship for like 12 or 13 people right now, just in less than 2 months that the book is out. So, it opens door, like you said, it opens doors. And I got to meet amazing people in 2 months that I didn't know before the book came out. And people call me from other states, like you reach out on LinkedIn and I love that. I truly enjoy the journey with the book. So what they can find in my book is more like when they feel down or they feel like they cannot achieve anything. Maybe some of the example that are in the book from my story or from story I share from other people, they may find a way to think I can do this, or you know what, there are people who are worse situation than myself, and I will change. And when I hear that, I had to say, like, if one person, I can influence one person positively to go from nothing to something, it's a success for me. And I heard a lot more than than one in 2 months. So, and that's why I want the message to continue with public speaking, and that's why I do, like, I inject. How do you say that in English? I keep learning for myself or to expand what I already do to be able to do more, influence more people. So that's what I do now. Like I really like continue to try to improve what I'm doing so I can create more for myself and other people.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And again, a lot of things that Nick says is, I encourage everybody to rewind and really listen and listen to the little things, because what he shared and what I picked up in that is the importance that your test leads to your testimony. Is if you didn't have those challenges, you wouldn't have had the story. The story comes from the challenges. If you would have just applied the first time, got here, you knew English, and yeah, you could have developed something and still been the success that you are today. But where's the fun in that? I mean, you're it's never fun when you're in it, but just think of what you can do by sharing your story with other people. That we just talked about is when he won the lottery, he encouraged other people to apply that had probably always been afraid and thought, man, nobody ever wins that thing. Wow, I know somebody that won that thing. And all of a sudden somebody's reading, his book, and they see, well, my son needs to hear this, or I needed to hear this today. And I'm sure you get messages all the time is like, boy, I needed this book and this message right now more than ever. And I just encourage other people to put your story out there. If you don't think you can write a book, write a book. It's not as complicated as you think it is, because I know that based on what Nick had shared and what I've shared before, is if he and I can write books, anybody can write a book. And there's people out there that will help you, but
Mhm.
your story will influence other people. There's a gentleman named Rory Vaden, is that we help people who we once were. And we're trying to help people overcome challenges, shift their mindset to be able to do things in the right way. And what I really like about the title of your book, Mindset is My Degree, is we all earn a degree. We learn it through trials, through tests, through developing skills. And so what were some of the things that you did to help you earn that degree of mindset?
I think it's so many things. Starting young age, like I said, I think the first time that I felt like I could influence people, it's through sport. So, like I told you, I was 16 years old. I was a professional basketball player in Belgium, and after a year and a half, I got to become a captain of the team. But the captain is nominated by the players, and I was young. I mean, I was super young to be captain of a team of adults. And so I believe that at that time, I realized that I can actually influence people and motivate people. So that was my first time that I felt, ooh, I may have something in there. Then the phase when I started at 25 and build that huge team in the job that I was doing, in the business I was doing in life insurance, I realized, oh my God, people are following me. Like I started speaking, and I did 8 years of public speaking in Belgium. It was more like, like weekend seminars and things like that, but about mindset. And I realize more and more people are showing up for those seminars, and people from my team bring more people to listen to it. And so I realized that I have a message, but it all starts with my own story. And I do believe that you can have the best. I'm definitely not the best speaker, but you can have the best public speaker, Anthony Robbins, Barack Obama, all those people that when they speak, you feel like it's coming out straight out of the book. But their story is what resonates usually. And I think that's the piece that I have. But we all have one. We all have a bunch of stories. The problem is that you don't feel like the story can resonate, but everybody's story will resonate for some people. Find your niche and help people. So that would be probably my message on that one.
No, that's great. And I want to be sensitive to your time. As you can tell, I could sit here and ask questions all day long and talk because we do think very similarly. So what would be a parting message that you'd like to leave the audience today?
Whatever you think or want to do, whatever is next in your personal life, professional life, or anything like that, spiritual life, and that you feel like it's not the right time, do it. You don't know when the right time will be. It's never going to be a right time. When I won, actually, it was not the right time because I was getting very successful, like in Belgium. Everything went well at that time, but it was my dream. So I let everything go to move. So that was pretty much the worst timing because when I really felt like I got everything together, everything was perfect in my life. So do something, dare to jump. Don't wait for the perfect timing. It's never going to be the perfect timing. And or you win or you learn. You never fail. So I know it's all very cliche, but I do believe in all those things. I strongly believe in those things. So don't be afraid. It's going to be challenges. You will have obstacles. It's going to be hard. But if you never start, I always said, if you don't take risk, you cannot lose, but you will never win. And we have one life. Live the life to the fullest, learn, and who knows what's next the door that it's hard to push.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So how can people find and follow you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much everywhere on social media, and we can go from there to find me. So Nick Mornard, LinkedIn is probably the best place to start. I have a website under construction, so it's going to be nickmornard.com, but it's probably going to be another 2-3 weeks. Otherwise, you have jetsettinglifestyle.com is my website for the travel agency. But again, very easy to find, too easy sometimes. But don't hesitate to send me an email. My phone number is everywhere on the web, and we can discuss about anything. I enjoy people, and I enjoy just sharing stories and listen to your story and see how we can complement each other. So don't hesitate to reach out. And I know it's going to be on the description more information as well.
Yep, for sure. So I'll get everything from Nick to make sure that you have the best ways to contact him. So if anything resonated, then just go in the show notes and you'll be able to find everything, or reach out to me. And then I can get you connected with Nick as well. So Nick, hang on a second. I really, really do appreciate what you shared. This is more than what I thought, because again, it was a cold email and it was great. I really appreciate your story. I appreciate where you're at in life and how you want to help others, not just get their dream vacation, but accomplish their dreams. It's, you have to have a dream. You have to put something tangible in play. And like Nick had shared, celebrate, think of something that when you accomplish X, you're going to do this. And it creates that dopamine response that you deserve and that you need. So Nick, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on the Pathways to Greatness podcast. We hope that today's conversation inspired you to take steps towards your own greatness. Remember, every journey starts with a single step. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit. Actually, share it with 3 people that you might think it might benefit. Until next time, keep pursuing your passions and carving your own path to greatness. Take care.